Jurassic Park. Now playing the theater.
Ecto goggles with Ecto Popper, Neutrona Blaster, and Water Zapper, each sold separately.
From the corner penthouse of Spook Central all the way to Star Killer Base, this is Yes Have Some Podcast.
Do I? Yes, have some. Yes, have some.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags.
The only place in the multiverse where you can love the book, hate the movie, but still buy all the toys.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
What?
Please remember to hold on to your butts and get ready to get stressed. With your hosts, Craig Goldberg, Abigail Gardner, and Jacob Walsh.
We are Yes Have Some Podcast, and we are recording a podcast for the first time ever in our history here at DragonCon. What's up, DragonCon?
Right.
Okay, I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah,
I think I'd give that segment... What do you think?
I'd give it a 10.
Thank you. For those of us here who don't know who... By the way, it's good to know who our friends are.
Yeah.
Okay? This was all a test to see who from the Ghostbusters community would show up. And
we're taking notes.
And
you're all on the list.
Now we know. Bonus Patreon episodes for you. And Patreon pictures. Okay. We are Yes Have Some Podcast. What did you say?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. My name is... Again?
I'm done.
Thank you. We are Yes Have Some Podcast. My name is Craig Goldberg, and we are from right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I want to introduce you to... Thank you. I have no skin in the Atlanta, Georgia community game. Like, I don't care if you're from here or not. But thank you for clapping. That was good. I want to introduce you to our co-hosts, Abigail Gardner.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Happy for myself. It's me.
And Jacob Walsh.
Hello.
I love Jake. Jake, we've been podcasting for 3.5 years. We have a lot of fun. We're members of the Ghostbusters fan community. We love Ghostbusters, but we talk on the podcast about more than Ghostbusters.
Right.
Would you say that's a true statement?
Yeah, well, I think what everybody here doesn't know is that we're going to end up talking about probably the movie Twister for most of this.
That's a good
panel.
Yes.
All of our prep was talking about Twister in our room before this.
Yes, we got together about an hour ago. I was like, all right, guys, let's talk. And 5 minutes later, I was like, listen, if Bill Paxton was alive today, Twister 2 would be in production, and there would just be no doubt about it.
We had a whole conversation about the F5 system and whatever it is now.
Yeah, E5.
It's the EF5 system.
EF5.
Does anybody know why?
It's a Vegeta scam.
We know, right, but there's now... doesn't matter.
changed
We have an hour. We're
already off topic. We're already off topic.
We already got topic. Thank you for that. Jake, I've noticed over the past couple years, people really seem to like you.
But do they?
I think they do.
I'm not sure if that's
identify
true.
with you.
He's an enigma.
Is it because I'm mean about everything?
You're so mean.
It's because I hate everything.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Ghostbusters today. Who is a Ghostbusters fan? Well, that's exciting. We're all Ghostbusters fans. Phil, it's okay. It's fine.
We can kick you guys
It's
out.
fine. Yes. No, we love Ghostbusters, and we're fans of the franchise. And obviously, the big announcement this year was that Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, is writing and directing... writing with Gil Kenan, who did the movie Monster House. Does anybody like that movie? Yeah. The animated film? Is that what it's called?
Is that what it's called?
It's called. That's what it's called. Monster House.
Monster House.
Yeah, I watched it.
We watched it.
It's fantastic.
It's animated. It's good.
But Jason Reitman is doing the new Ghostbusters, and we're excited about it. It's really cool. Obviously, there was a live-action Ghostbusters movie a couple years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. What was that?
Without that movie, we probably wouldn't be here podcasting.
Yes, that's true.
For sure.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, as it is now known, was obviously the all-female Ghostbusters, and it has its place in Ghostbusters history. We're not going to talk a lot about that today, but it is kind of the origin of our podcast, because 2016 was such a crazy time to be a Ghostbusters fan, and hello, and
He knows how crazy it is.
For those listening later at home, a gentleman just walked by and he found a seat. Perfect. It was a crazy time to be a Ghostbusters fan, and we wanted to kind of lend our voice to the community, and I think we lended it.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I think when that movie was announced, the cast was announced, there was a lot of flack and like pushback online, and I think that the three of us wanted to put it out there that maybe it could be a good movie, and if anything, it could be something to reinvigorate the franchise and keep Ghostbusters alive. So I guess we kind of put a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Do you agree with that?
It was. Do I agree on the word positive? Because it started off very positive.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things was that when Answer the Call came out, we had about 20 years of like, is there going to be another Ghostbusters movie? So when it started to actually happen, it felt very weird for all of us, and it was like a confusing time. It was like I called my mom.
Yeah.
You called your mom?
I got a therapist.
Did you call your mom?
Yeah, every night.
Okay.
I don't even think my mom knows that I have a podcast.
She doesn't.
She has no clue.
My mom, on the other hand, called me last week and she was like, hey, I just finished 164. And I was like, cool, what does that mean? I had no idea what she was talking about. It was episode 164 of the podcast.
Yeah.
Mom listens to this.
She listens.
His mom friended me on Facebook. It's so weird.
It is weird.
I'm going to be friends with all of you after this.
Yes. But so cool. So now it's 2019. There is a new Ghostbusters movie being written and directed. Jason Reitman's doing it. There's been a little bit of news over the last couple months. We're learning more about the movie. We want to talk about that. We're not going to go into any... What's this?
What's your notes?
I have my notes. Thank you. This is also my wife.
Hi. Yeah. And this is how we podcast.
This is how we
Pass
podcast.
in the itinerary.
Yes. Usually I'm not wearing pants. This is different for me.
Usually there's a lot of cats in the room too.
Cats and no pants. Do you wear pants? Listen. Jake called me. We're going to go on some tangents. Jake called me a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, we have to figure out this air conditioning thing. And I was like, okay, cool. What are you talking about? Because Jake lives in Valdosta. We're not together. We podcast from Atlanta. We always have to turn off our AC.
It's very hot. And anything, the microphones pick up literally everything, so you have to shut all your fans off. You have to shut
but I don't know if
the
that's
air conditioner off. Yeah, but it is true because you said that you saw someone else say the same thing.
There was a Bill Simmons sports podcast. I won't talk about sports, sorry. But he had Julia Louis-Dreyfus on. And she was like, why is it so hot in here? And he's like, the biggest podcast in the world. And he's like, we have to turn off the AC because it picks up on the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Sorry.
Ghostbusters 2020. Abigail.
Yes.
We're going to have some Q&A too. If people have questions throughout, we're giving out some coffee mugs. So you can, have some. Cool. Bad questions will not receive one.
We'll break a mug for every bad question.
Yes. There's only 4. If you ask a bad question. Abby, where were you when you found out there was going to be a new... Well, before I ask that.
Okay.
Who's excited about the new Ghostbusters movie?
Woo!
Okay. Good.
Cool.
We should talk.
Some people.
Yeah.
Where were you when you found out?
I was shopping at a Forever 21 for a dress for a Christmas party, and I remember I was like...
This is oddly specific.
Yeah, I was engulfed in my shopping, and then you were like, honey, look at your phone, and I looked at it, because we just gotten the text, I believe, from somebody, and it said that Jason Reitman was directing a new Ghostbusters movie, and it felt, honestly, like a complete and total shock, because I didn't see that coming at all. Jason Reitman is Ivan Reitman's son. Like, he's not somebody that I ever thought would pick up the mantle and do it. And I also just never thought after Answer the Call that we would see another live-action Ghostbusters movie. Like, it was like we were hoping...
So you thought it was dead?
Yeah, I literally was like, what? Like,
you thought it was like... As I said last night...
I stopped shopping. I lost my bags, and I lost the things that I was looking for, and I just went full into every article online. And then we called Jake.
Yeah, and you didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to... This happened in January.
Okay.
And I've been wanting to confront you.
Yeah, what do you think
You weren't there for us.
I don't even remember this. I don't remember where I was.
Okay, pretend that you found out that night. What were your feelings?
But I think when I found out, I was still... It took me a while. I think I was like, okay, we'll see. I was still hurt and I don't think I knew what was happening. I don't know. I felt weird about it. It took a while to hit me. And I remember you guys feeling like frustrated because you were like, hey, there's a Ghostbusters 3. And I was like, all right.
Well, because there's been so much skepticism over the last 30 years. For those of you in the Ghostbusters community who pay attention to movie news, Dan Aykroyd has been basically every. You can't say Dan Aykroyd without people laughing. Since like 2000, like since literally the year 2000, like every year he's just been like
93.
Yeah, we're since 1993. Every interview. Thank you, Dan. Dan Harshman, leader of the pack. Thank you. Any interview with him has been, well, we're getting ready to shoot next spring. We got the Ecto-1 and we got the proton packs, and it's been nothing.
I love Dan Aykroyd, but he has this like talent for just making everything up on the spot every time, and I think he doesn't realize that people maybe record his conversations or are filming.
Yeah.
Because he's like, no one's going to question this. He's just like, we're making Ghostbusters Hide next week. It will release on DVD. And you're like, what?
Right.
Has anybody here ever been to a Crystal Head Vodka bottle signing and met Dan Aykroyd?
No.
Did he make false promises about being in the next Ghostbusters to you?
He didn't talk to us. Hi, cadet. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Abby, you had a good day. There was a Ghostbusters Fan Fest. Ghostbusters Fan Fest was the first ever all Ghostbusters convention, and it was this June for the 35th anniversary. It was put on by another company. We won't call it.
Yeah.
It was Wizard World. It was something else.
It sure was.
But you had a good interaction with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I did. After waiting in line for the photo op with all the original guys, the person before me was like very tall, and so they had to bring out like a stool for him to sit on in front of the lineup.
It was very awkward.
And I became stressed because I didn't want to have to use the stool as well and be like dwarfed in front of these
Because
people.
it's like 6 people standing behind you.
Yeah,
You're just in a chair.
Let me set this up. It's Dan Aykroyd, Ivan Reitman, Ernie Hudson, William Atherton, Jason Reitman.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was getting stressed because I wanted this to be a perfect photo, which I talk about a lot in the podcast, about photo op stress. And so as I moved up, I was like, I'm going to just move this chair. And I think I may have asked somebody, I was like, can I move the chair?
Yeah.
And then Dan Aykroyd got involved. He said, don't remove the chair. Don't move the chair.
Yeah, he went full Beldar.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there and he's like, get the chair, grab the chair, go get the chair. I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is such a weird,
so weird.
It's a major franchise, but like Star Wars, Jurassic, Ghostbusters is so, it's like a duct tape franchise. It's just pieced together.
I want to be like, Dan, can you please remove your glasses?
Yeah, he's wearing sunglasses. So anyways, it was fun that we all learned about this new movie, and I don't know, it's a legacy sequel. It's going to be the Force Awakens of Ghostbusters, whatever that means. Is that a good thing? Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, I think so. I think being at FanFest, in spite of the things that we've said about it, there were some really special moments, like when we were sitting out on the lawn watching Dan Aykroyd talk with Ernie Hudson, and when Jason came out, and Jason Reitman and Ivan Reitman had like a father-son discussion.
Yeah.
It was extremely special.
It was emotional.
It was like nothing that I'd ever felt with Answer the Call watching. I love Paul Feig and respect the cast and all that, but I never had that feeling of like this is going to be something that will get me choked up the way that The Force Awakens did, and like give me those feels and tap back into that original source material. And seeing them talk, it warmed my heart, and it just made me very excited for this new movie. So Jason
Reitman has so much reverence for the first film. Yeah. He's in the second film. For those of you who don't know, if you've ever seen Ghostbusters 2, the young chap at the birthday party who tells Dan Aykroyd, my dad says you guys are full of crap. That is Jason Reitman. So he's been part of the franchise forever. But gosh, he's got a lot of reverence for his dad. It was something I couldn't relate to. I like my dad, but like my dad sells fabric, so it's like I've never had a conversation where I was just like,
your dad didn't create Ghostbusters.
Yeah. I'm like,
and then just give it to you.
Yeah.
Hey, I created Ghostbusters, the thing that you love more than anything. Hey, do you want it?
Right. He made me a bedspread once from the fabric he sells.
Still nice though.
It wasn't nice.
Very nice.
Actually, nope, not going there. Okay. It was ants and vacuuming. It was a whole thing. Okay. So now the movie is in production. We're going to avoid spoilers. There's been some leaks and things like that. We're not going to go into that territory. Nothing monumental. If you guys remember, before Answer the Call came out, we were talking about this last night. The entire plot leaked. And it was. Remember when Sony got hacked?
Yeah.
Remember when Seth Rogen almost started World War III? That was weird.
Yeah,
that was a weird time.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah, I remember.
They made that movie where they are going to assassinate Kim Jong-un.
Interview, right?
Yeah. And then North Korea hacked Sony. And it was like a whole thing.
That's why that happened.
Yeah.
That indirectly
that affected Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a duct tape franchise. There's just weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the cast, right? So there's been a cast announced so far. How do we feel about Finn Wolfhard?
Very, very positively. I'm very excited. I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Loved it. I absolutely adore Finn Wolfhard, and I think that he brings like a legitimacy to the franchise. He's going to bring like young eyes and interest to Ghostbusters, and like,
He has 15 million Instagram followers.
yeah, exactly.
That's
like a
how.
true thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I like how
He's funny too.
I like how Jason Reitman was specifically like he specifically did not want to cast him, but then said that his audition was so good that he was I could not cast him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think going into this, because there is going to be young. We don't know. There's a younger cast, right? So Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace. She is great. She was in The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, which was great.
And she was in the last Annabelle movie. She has 1 million Instagram
How was that Annabelle
followers.
movie?
I didn't see Annabelle. Anybody see the last Annabelle movie?
Yes.
How was it? Okay. How was McKenna? How was McKenna Grace? So it's a younger cast, right? But we don't know. All we know about the movie is what's been teased. A family moves back to a small town. They have some sort of connection to the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Then Jason Reitman posts this first cast photo.
Is this movie going to end with Finn Wolfhard like passing a proton wand to Dan Aykroyd? He like turns around,
Giving it back?
yeah, like
I stole this.
the end of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Oh, like that.
It's
Okay.
just the Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No. I hope not. Listen. What was I saying?
You're talking about the
You're
cast.
talking about the cast.
Thank you.
I think even before the cast, though, the teaser trailer that we got with the Ecto in it.
Oh, yeah.
That was a moment of like confirmation that this is going to be what we wanted it to be, and there's a piece of the old movie that we're seeing, and it's not done up in some weird way. It's what we recognize and what we love. I thought that was amazing.
That was weird. I've always had that dream, like, what if there was like a secret movie and they just put out a teaser trailer? And it's like, that's never happened before. And then it happened.
Well, we talk about that kind of stuff a lot. Is like secret sequels or like whenever the Cloverfield like just randomly dropped on Netflix. Whenever they're able to keep a movie under wraps, it's such a cool thing.
This is the second time today Jake has talked about that last Blair Witch movie. And how disappointed you were.
Yeah, I was disappointed
Because of the drone. Did that last Blair Witch movie, there's a scene where it's like a found footage movie again,
Yeah.
but there's drone footage.
yeah.
Kind of takes you out of it.
It was
a little
dumb, yeah, but just the fact that they were like, hey, we've made this movie and nobody knew that it happened, like that to me is exciting. And the fact that the trailer was just, it was like, oh, there's a Ghostbusters
To have
trailer.
a shroud of secrecy over a production and over a movie before it comes out, it means there's a lot of thought being put into it, and it gets me excited. So.
Yeah, and really, with the way like the internet is and everything, like everything. Like there's no everything. As soon as a movie's announced or as soon as it's rumored, like there was that Matrix 4 announcement a couple weeks ago, but that's kind of been confirmed for months. Like we knew it was coming. Now the ink's dry.
There's no way you can
That's
film
what
a
people
movie
say.
now, and like it's very hard to film a movie and not have people know what's happening.
But Jason Reitman had this idea, and like he'd been for years, people have been asking him, "Would he do a Ghostbusters movie?" And he was like, "No, that's stupid. Why would I do that?" It's like if somebody was like, "Do you think you'll sell fabric?" And I was like, "Probably." It's probably what's gonna happen. By the way, that's an honorable profession. So let's talk about Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Carrie Coon. I like her.
Because you really like Gone Girl?
Gone Girl's my favorite movie.
Season 3 of Fargo, she's in that too.
She's in season 3, but this isn't a Gone Girl podcast today, but usually it is. I am obsessed with that movie.
He is.
I don't know what that says about me
It's
as a
weird.
person, but Carrie
I
Coon
get it.
is great. But I think the thing everybody's wondering is what involvement the original cast will have.
Yeah.
So, Abigail,
Yeah.
will Bill Murray be in this movie?
I hope so. I mean, I would love that. It would be awesome. I'm not going to like need it as a requirement for this to be a good film for me to check it off. I'd actually like to, if you were to be in it, I'd like for that to be a surprise, because that's one of the things that I find most stressful about this movie is that so much of it is leaking already and images, etc. So if
You
were
wouldn't
to
know
be
about
on
that
it-
stuff if I wasn't shoving it in
Yeah,
your
and I get
face
mad.
every
I've had a
2
lot of fights
seconds.
about
Oh
this.
my God, look at this.
Yes.
It's not a
I don't wanna
spoiler,
lose my
kind of.
dress at the
Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to Bill Murray being in that, I think it would be fantastic. I would probably be almost more excited to see Sigourney Weaver come back.
Ooh.
Big fan of hers. It'd be really cool to see her lineage and like family carry on in the next movie with Carrie Coon. So that'd be neat.
Jake?
I go back and forth with Bill Murray. It's like I get it's
Does
like,
he know about this?
I get to a point where I'm like, Ghostbusters doesn't need Bill Murray, like, and it doesn't.
Whoa.
It doesn't. Come on. But
It's the right take.
Ooh. There you go. See? Thank you. You want a coffee
People
cup?
agree with Jake.
Hey.
That's why they like Jake.
Coffee mug. Coffee mug.
I don't know, the thing about Bill Murray.
Hey, for somebody approaching the stage.
You want the mug, I'm taking the mug, I'm giving you something.
let's hear it.
All right,
the
Bill
shirt.
Murray has not been in a movie where he was needed since Lost in Translation. Oh. Every other movie, he's decided to be in because he liked the character,
Yeah.
but the character wasn't necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why take over?
Thank you. Oh, there's a box for that mug if you don't want to break it.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a couple interesting points. Bill Murray.
But I think he's going to be in the movie.
I think he's going to be in it, but you could kind of make an argument. His voiceover work feels a little phoned in sometimes.
It does, but I feel like Bill Murray most of the time. That's Bill Murray most of the time. Like it just is. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just that's how it is a lot of the time.
Okay. I have faith that it could be a really special performance because of the people that it would be involved with Jason Reitman,
Yeah.
Ivan Reitman, kind of
having
that. If Egon is a character, or if that's part of the plot, I feel like it might
It's
pull
not going to be a
him-
character, but
bring the good stuff out of them. You know,
Yeah.
Well, he will be a character,
Right,
but in
yeah.
yeah.
Do we? So there was a
so much.
there was a picture released on Instagram of the cast. I don't work for Instagram. I just really like it. I can keep talking about it. Like these people thought I worked for Instagram. Finn Wolfhard resembles a young Harold Ramis.
yeah. Well, so does in the photo that was.
Well, they released
released,
a photo, and McKenna Grace, who is a 10-year-old girl, they permed her hair and gave her
Egon's glasses.
Egon's literally
She's
Egon's
literally
glasses.
wearing Egon's glasses.
That doesn't mean like she could have found them. It could just be like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
But is that Egon's family?
Yes.
I like to think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're going to have to address Harold Ramis's
Yeah,
absence
for sure.
somehow.
Well, they will.
That's really sad. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually what we're talking about right now is one of the most stressful things because you want to think about the movie constantly, but you don't want your expectation level to get too high
Yeah.
to where when you actually see it, you're like let down anyway because we've all been there.
Last
The
Jedi.
or we're gonna have a fight.
Hey,
No one.
I'm the only one of the three of us who loved The Last Jedi. I really like it. I think.
Do you?
I don't know.
Do you guys like Last Jedi?
Wow. Daisy Ridley.
If you didn't like it,
This is now a
leave.
Star Wars. This is now a Star Wars panel.
Yeah.
We don't have time. There's a whole That's another chat. So, hey, guess who else is in this movie? Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah.
I love Paul Rudd. I think he might be my favorite human being of all of them.
Thanks.
Of all the human beings.
Your wife's right there.
I'm not upset about that, actually.
We hate each other. It's more of a roommate situation than anything.
Hey. Paul Rudd's awesome. I'm really excited that he's been brought on the team.
Yes.
Again, like more legitimacy, more good stuff, quality.
Did you know he was asked to reprise his role in... So everybody knows Paul Rudd's first movie was... Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers. And his character's name was? Tommy Doyle. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I'm just kidding.
It turned into a game.
There's 2 new Halloween movies coming out. And they asked Paul Rudd to... I guess it wouldn't be reprising the same role. He'd be playing Tommy Doyle, but a different version.
A new Tommy Doyle?
A better actor version. Paul Rudd's gotten better in 30
Possibly
years.
a better written as well.
Okay.
But he had to turn it down because of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
What kind of world are we living in?
Yeah.
But also, like, Paul Rudd is one of the people who has been, like, rumored for Ghostbusters for, like, the last 10 years. So it's weird that now he actually is. Like, whenever they announced it and people started posting all their photos of, like, Photoshopped Paul Rudd in a Ghostbuster outfit, I'm like, that's 10-year-old photo.
Yeah. Paul Rudd put a video up on Twitter of him in front of the Ghostbusters firehouse, and it's a very... I'm not even going to try to... It's very funny. It's very funny. But people are so conditioned in the Ghostbusters fan community to not believe things. It's him in front of the firehouse going, I'm joining the new Ghostbusters movie, and people are like, I don't know. Is it really Paul Rudd?
It's a deep fake.
It was a deep fake. Oh, gosh. Hey, I like deep fake.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
That's another hot take. I'm the only one. Okay. Well, it means... No. Okay. I love Paul Rudd. Everything he turns up in, he's great. Like, I Love You Man is amazing. Mm-hmm. And Clueless is amazing. Mm-hmm. He kind of sucked in Friends. But when you're sharing the screen with Matthew Perry...
It wasn't his fault.
Who I think Matthew Perry's the funniest human being of all time.
We're talking about Friends now. Everybody gets their notes out.
Okay, hold on. Mention The Fabric, Friends,
Twister,
we're good.
check.
Twister, Bill Paxton. Anyways, July 10th, 2020, we are getting a new Ghostbusters movie. It's in production right now. I think it went from cautiously optimistic to now the general consensus is this is going to be pretty damn good. It's going to be a damn special movie.
I hope so.
Because they're filming it in rural Canada. It's going to be so different than anything we saw. Yeah. It's not going to be in New York City.
I think for the last, 25 years that they've been talking about Ghostbusters, everybody's always just figured that the next film is just 4 funny people, just like the first 2, fill in those roles. And I don't think this movie is going to be anything like that. Yeah. It seems like it's going to be a little more of maybe a little more serious, maybe more like a family drama, just like with some Ghostbuster stuff there.
Ghostbusters.
If you've seen Jason Reitman movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Touching family stuff. Tully.
I
don't know who's seen Tully.
That was a cool movie. Yeah, that's the other thing. He's like he's like a little bit, he's like a Sundance indie director who's like, I'll do a big budget feature. He turned the script into Sony, and he in an interview, Jason Reitman said, I thought it was going to be like 2 years of rewrites and budget discussions, and Sony just read it and went like, cool, go make it. And he was like, what?
Yeah, there were like tears.
But part of me wonders if that says anything. Is that just saying good stuff about him, or is that just Sony not knowing what?
Yeah, this could be a Sony thing.
Sony's like, just do it.
Sony's like,
we don't care.
Give me your Spider-Man. Hey, can I talk about my Spider-Man theory real quick?
Yep.
I think Sony made the new Popeyes chicken sandwiches as a distraction from the Spider-Man debacle.
Yeah.
Because nobody has talked about Spider-Man since the damn chicken sandwiches came out. People don't even know what they are. I haven't had the new sandwich yet.
No, I haven't been able to get one.
It's gone. It's sold out.
And the vegan nuggets?
Oh yeah, KFC.
It's KFC.
Chicken is so popular in 2019. All right, so There's other stuff happening in Ghostbusters. It's kind of a monumental year. It's the 35th anniversary.
Yes.
The video game, 2009, one of the most popular, I don't know. It's definitely the best Ghostbusters video game.
Yeah.
You're like the most popular. Rewind.
It's a great game, and the original cast did it in 2009. Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis wrote it.
Yeah, it's a great extension of the franchise.
And they remastered it, and it's coming out this fall in a couple weeks.
Yes.
That's something GhostbustersNews.com, their April Fool's joke they do every year, this year was that.
That was
they're like, they're remastering the video game, haha.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
And it really came
that'll never happen.
It actually happened?
It actually happened.
That's amazing.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, does anybody here collect toys? God. I love...
You got your DTOF shelves.
Yes. Who's got DTOFs? Thank you.
Okay.
We'll talk. That's IKEA talk.
DTOF.
What was that?
DTOF Talk. It's a new podcast.
What's it about?
DTOFs.
Okay. We talk about...
It's just about putting them together.
We talk about shelving on our podcast more than any podcast should.
Probably.
Jake's like, what'd you do today? I'm like, I went to IKEA. Here comes 45 minutes.
How many did you get? How'd you fit
You wouldn't
them in?
believe it. That chocolate bar on the checkout counter is only $1. So I got 2 of them. Hasbro has officially taken over the Ghostbusters license for 2020. And for those who don't know, Kenner was the original company that made the Ghostbusters figures, the real Ghostbusters in the 1980s. And Hasbro acquired Kenner a long time ago. And they now have the ability, and it's been rumored that there's going to be re-releases of the original Kenner Real Ghostbusters figures. Similar to, they did it for Star Wars this year. They re-released the retro figures. Jake lives in Valdosta. They've got distribution problems down there. You haven't found those yet, have you?
No, not at all.
You looked?
You know what? I found a tag, an empty tag on a shelf, and it never was full. And then the next time I went, the tag was gone. They're like, we're just not going to get
some guy in Valdosta was like, they simply just didn't send them.
the tag gone.
I simply can't believe it. I'm sorry. That's offensive. Valdosta's beautiful.
Is it?
It is. I like it.
That's great.
Spanish moss.
What?
There's like a lot in the trees there. It's very nice. The foliage.
Okay. So between a new movie, Hasbro doing the toys,
Halloween Horror Nights.
Universal Studios is getting a Ghostbusters house for the first time ever.
A lot of new merch.
We love theme parks. We love Universal Studios. We have a running gag, a running joke on the podcast that the actual formation of our podcast was when Universal Studios 1996, they tore down the Ghostbusters Spooktacular show.
Yep.
And they replaced it with Twister. And from that,
it was like the Big
of
Bang
loving something
of the
and
Yes
then loving
House
the
song.
other thing that replaces
Yeah.
it.
it was the YHS Big
It's the
Bang.
most stressful thing possible.
Yes. But they're bringing it back. So we're going to have Ghostbusters at Horror Nights. They remastered the soundtrack. Beautiful. It's on Spotify. You don't
Yeah.
have to buy it.
It's nice.
I have it on vinyl on Spotify. Whatever that means. So it's a big year for Ghostbusters. Everybody give yourself a round of applause.
Big year, guys.
Hey, there's also an animated movie coming out. And a bird, I can't tell you who. I'm just going to call him Mr. Sony.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Sony.
Mr. Sony, I have a source that says that if all goes well with this next movie, that will be in production very soon after
The animated
the
feature.
animated movie.
Cool.
And there's been rumors that movie's going to be told from a ghost's perspective. What does that mean?
Is it Slimer?
Is it Slimer?
Yeah.
Jake, what does the Slimer movie look like?
The Slimer movie. There's no English. You can't understand anything. It's just him eating food the whole time.
I like it. Hey, did you like the last Ghostbusters movie?
Are we getting it?
We got to.
Are you talking about Ghostbusters 2 or are we talking about Answer the Call?
This is a safe
Are we talking
space.
about Answer the Call?
This is the trust tree.
Let's do it.
Cool. Trust fall.
Let's do a trust fall.
On the stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gary, we're not going to do that. Seriously, who enjoyed the last Ghostbusters movie? Answer the call. Cool. So, okay. Why did you like that? We talked about this earlier. We are very big supporters. We had Paul Feig on our podcast. Actually, this is a funny story.
Mitchell, wake up.
This is a good story. Paul Feig's one of the nicest, most caring, generous gentlemen of all time. And also, he's in Heavyweights, which was one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, and I'm dressing up as him in Heavyweights tomorrow.
There you go. Cool. So, we haven't done this in a while, but we used to do these live call-in shows. Early on, like, Answer the Call was, like, in the editing phase. And we were going to do an episode where we talked about all the new toys coming out.
Yeah.
And we asked Dan Harshman, who's in the audience,
was on the show.
Who's one of the most opinionated... Also, we haven't said one swear. We haven't. It's amazing.
Wow.
Whoa. Our show has an explicit rating.
Thank you for the claps.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clap.
But we had Dan on the show. We're like, Dan, you're opinionated, and you're what are those people who they just want to argue and stuff?
Jerks.
Jerks. Dan's a jerk. And we'll have him on.
This is my favorite thing that has ever happened on the show.
This was early on. We've been podcasting.
Dan was on the show
2 months,
and we were talking about Answer the Call.
and you were not a supporter of the film. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it, and we're going through the queue, and I'm like, all right, California, you're on the line. And it's Paul Feig.
Yeah.
And you can go listen to it. It's in the archives. And
And you didn't tell any of us.
I didn't know.
No,
Special guest.
I was instantly annoyed, and I was like texting Craig, like, why didn't you tell us Paul Feig was coming on the show?
I didn't know.
Is this?
Listen,
Damn.
we're like 2 months into podcasting. The audio sounds terrible. We have one microphone. I didn't know that the biggest comedy director in history was calling in. Yeah, I did. I knew. I had like a 10-second
You
heads up.
put a tweet out saying you wanted him to call, so
He called.
he called.
But he and Dan had a civil discussion, and
Yeah, it was
Dan
great.
straight up told him, I disagree with everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And he was like, I appreciate your feedback.
I'm in the editing booth, so
Yeah.
see what I can do.
So,
Let's rewrite it.
but there's stuff in that movie I enjoy. There's stuff that I think missed the mark. But what we saw in the Ghostbusters community was a lot more participation.
Growth.
Yeah, for sure.
From all sorts of new people and different genders and different sexualities, and it was great. It was great, and it was good for the community as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
Because listen, we all have movies that maybe aren't widely accepted as like traditionally great or whatever.
B-sides, yeah.
You have a
Batman Forever.
Yeah.
I knew you were about to say it.
Yeah.
I love Batman Forever. Not everybody digs that movie. Or Joel Schumacher. But I love it. And I'm into it. I did the Riddler, Jim Carrey's Riddler. I made that costume and bedazzled it and wore that last night. I defend that movie, and I understand that it's cheesy and that it has some camp to it.
Yeah, and you like Godzilla. All of it. What? Do you have a movie that's terrible that you love? I'm not calling Answer the Call terrible.
Godzilla, all of them.
No, for real.
I don't. I mean, not.
You have that alligator movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad.
What about Baby?
Yeah, that's a bad. I like a lot of bad movies. Yeah.
Do you like any good movies?
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2.
Okay. Hey, Ghostbusters 2 is fantastic. Round of applause for the audience. Thank you.
Might be better.
Cool. So we got about 20 minutes left. We wanted to touch on Gremlins a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
We touch on Gremlins? Good.
Is it okay to touch Gremlins? Is that one of the rules? There was a fourth rule. Don't touch them.
Don't touch on Gremlins. Okay.
Zach Galligan is at DragonCon. We saw him today.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. That's all we'll say about that. He's here. We've asked him to be on the podcast. He hasn't responded. It's fine.
So we're going to stay.
We also got stiff-armed by Robert Englund's wife. We want Robert Englund on the show. Who wouldn't? He's an American legend.
Yeah.
He's a dream warrior. Sorry. He's not a dream warrior. He fights them.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to see Gremlins 3.
Is it going to happen, though?
Is it ever going to happen?
Yeah, like a live action version.
Puppets.
Please.
Yeah,
Only puppets.
please. It's the only way to do it.
There was like a rumor a while back that there was going to be a Gremlins 3, and I remember reading that the plot was that somebody finds Gizmo on eBay. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the explanation. Like, where'd you get this thing? I bought it on eBay.
Bought him off
It's
eBay.
just Gizmo.
Yeah, I want to see the person that's taking Gizmo, putting him in the package to the post office, and, like not ignoring all the signs that says what you can't send.
Oh yeah, where they're like, is there any
It's like sweating.
lithium
No.
batteries toxic? No, I always hit no matter what. I've sent so many batteries and toxic things in the mail. That's all If it has a skull with crossbones, I'm like, I'm sending that thing in the mail. That shit's going in the mail.
You just said it.
Craig gets a mug. Yeah.
I can't believe it was you.
We have a segment on our podcast we call, I'm not going to say the word, an F-word budget. It's where we allocate F words for topics.
Yeah.
It makes more sense when you say it. But we decided not to do it today because we didn't want to dance around that the whole time.
Because it's
It
impossible.
would be very annoying for me mostly. There's a Gremlins animated prequel series that has been announced that is in development right now. Round of applause for that. And I have the description here because I didn't want to try to memorize. I think it's going to be on Warner's streaming service. That's a thing. I don't think anybody has it. I love that CBS All Access figured out a way to get everybody to subscribe. Everyone's like, CBS? And they're like, Twilight Zone. We're like, Jordan Peele, Twilight Zone. Okay, I'll try it out. Picard. I'll give you more than you're asking for. It's called Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai. Set in 1920 Shanghai, the series will tell the story of how 10-year-old Sam Wing, future shop owner Mr. Wing, he was Sam Wing as a child. He grew up and changed his name to Mr. Wing. Met the young Mogwai called Gizmo, and they're going to go on adventures throughout the world.
Yeah.
I love it.
But there's also a part of it that you don't have there. There, like the villain is like an evil scientist who is like creating monsters and other. It sounds like such a
Swamp Thing animated series.
Yeah, kind of. It sounds great.
Gremlins 2? I think we have different opinions on what sounds great.
I just want to see the marketing push.
Are you telling me you're not excited about an animated Gremlins cartoon where
Gizmo hasn't been named Gizmo
fighting
yet?
They just call him Mogwai?
How does that not sound fun?
Gizmo versus Mad Scientist Claw. It sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog with Gremlins.
Get out of here, dude.
Hey, DragonCon has a no Sonic the Hedgehog policy this year. It was a tough time for Sega Genesis enthusiasts. Remember when that trailer came out? Everyone was just like, yeah! And everyone was like, we should get a petition. And I was like, petitions don't work. I was like, oh, it worked. They straight up delayed it.
It is the first petition in the history of the world to work is Sonic the Hedgehog. It's going to go down in the history books. Change.org just changed their name to Sonic.
By the way, best trade I ever made. I traded a broken Nerf bow and arrow for Sonic and Knuckles on Genesis.
Oh, broken. Wow.
Kid was real dumb. Okay, so I'm excited about the Gremlins animated series.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm excited for
It's going to be so terrible, but of course.
the toys.
But let's talk about Gremlins 2 for a second.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest films in American history.
Yeah, I think so.
It's better. Gremlins 2 is better than the first one.
It's obviously
yeah.
better than the first one. It's more fun than the first one. There's like more characters. It's completely over the top. I think it defines sequelitis like in and of itself. But I think it's more enjoyable than the first Gremlins.
It's funnier for sure. Like it's more. It looks better. It's silly. It's so much silly.
It sounds better.
It just sounds better.
No, it
I like
doesn't.
the salad gremlin. I like the electricity gremlin. I like the female gremlin. I like all the different types. And
Yeah.
when they all sing at the
Have
end.
you guys seen that Key and Peele sketch?
Yeah.
The Gremlins
I
2?
think that's kind of where I'm coming from with my feelings.
And also, when NECA Toys put out the whole Gremlins line, they had an electricity gremlin, and that is what is known in the toy industry as a peg warmer. They couldn't sell it.
Yeah.
Like it sits on.
I didn't
the thing
even
and
buy
keeps
it.
Warm, like a bench warmer.
Do you know how big of a psychopath I am? I wanted it, but I saw there was so many still available and other people didn't want it, and I was like, I don't want that. It must not be very cool. Question?
Imagine if the Ghostbusters had been in Gremlins 2 to try to deal with that problem.
Oh.
We did that panel last year.
They would,
I love that.
Oh, you did do it.
hey, you know how the Ghostbusters and Gremlins 2, the whole movie would have just been them going up the stairs of that building. every
Just
time.
cut back to
You
him.
go
every
in that
minute,
door
they
that
just
flings
stood there.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Although I feel like Bill Murray singing New York, New York with the brain
With
Drain
the
would be
Gremlins?
so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with their like screw the system down with the man mentality, like they would probably join up with the Gremlins to take down the business, the corporation.
We find out
that's how
Walter
I do
Peck's
it.
behind that corporation.
Yeah.
Cool. Fan fiction.
Yeah. it's lovely.
Hey, does anybody have questions?
Questions
Talking
is the
points?
word
Does
you're-
anybody want to say something?
Something.
Thank you, Gary. Yes.
So I've been a Ghostbusters fan since the 80s. I love the real Ghostbusters. I'm really excited about the game coming out. I have all 4 Answer the Call action figures. I have not seen the new cast spoilers. Are we getting Janine and Zedmore?
Okay, so the question was, for those that didn't hear, will Janine and Zedmore be in the new movie? So nothing's been 100% confirmed, except for last week. Who knows what Cameo is? You know that service Cameo where you can pay a celebrity $150 to be like, "Happy birthday, son."
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a lot of good celebrities on there.
Yeah.
There's some other ones too. Ernie Hudson does that. Also, his original price was like $40. And I was like, oh, cool. Now I can get Ernie Hudson to finally do a bumper for the podcast. It's going to cost me $40. But he bumped it up to $150 because he's so popular. He said that he was currently filming the new Ghostbusters movie. At Ghostbusters Fan Fest, there was a special message from Annie Potts. She couldn't be there. She was doing...
Toy Story.
Was she? Oh, yeah, she was promoting Toy Story 4. And that was really cool. And then she was on some TV show promoting it, and they asked her, and she... Like, I love these actors now, especially the ones that are a little bit older, like pre-internet actors. They don't care. They're like, "Are you going to be the new Ghostbusters?" She's like, yeah. I am. Basically, I am.
Yeah. There hasn't been any like official announcements. Like at FanFest, Jason, he basically was like, Dan's read the script, Ernie's read the script, Bill's, and I think that was his way of being like, I can't officially tell you they're in the movie, but why would they be reading the script?
Yeah. Also, Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets about Rick Moranis. Like, until nobody forgets about him. But when you talk about Ghostbusters, like, you can make an argument that he's the best part of that movie.
Yeah. Like every single scene, every line, every moment with him is hilarious. Yeah.
Here's a fun fact: John Candy was originally going to play that role. Did you guys? Most people here probably know that.
Yeah.
He was going to play it with a German accent and have 2 Doberman pinchers. And Ivan Reitman was like, "Nope, you're not. Pass. You're not."
It's over there.
Why do I always get mistaken for the other Honey I Shrunk the Kids? It seems like every time.
The other Moranis movie.
Honey I Shrunk the Kids,
So,
right?
is it the second? Is it Honey I Blew Up the Kid where he wears the?
He's wearing one of those. Yeah.
He wears a. Hey, that van he has in Honey I Blew Up the Kid, underrated movie vehicle. That's somewhere between A-Team and the DeLorean.
Underrated. Totally underrated.
Hey, I went on the MGM Studios backlot tour once, and they had that van. They also had the dog cafe from Rocketeer.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Yes.
Any word on the soundtrack for the upcoming movie?
No, but nothing yet. I'm assuming Ray Parker Jr. will probably be involved. Abby, who do you want on the new soundtrack?
Fall Out Boy.
Stop it.
You better stop. No, I want to see the original song Ghostbusters. I want to have it remastered. That'd be really great.
Are there any modern artists you'd like to see?
Lizzo.
Yes. Whoa.
That would just be great. I'm just into her.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters soundtrack's always kind of capitalized on what was happening in the modern music scene. In fact, a friend of ours in Canada saw Bobby Brown last night in concert, and he played On Our Own.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Also, good for Bobby Brown getting out there.
Yeah.
First live panel, and you just said good for Bobby.
Good for Bobby Brown. Cool. Thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
Last year we were here, the guy who's doing the comic work for the Ghostbusters was talking about he'd like to see a crossover between the Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
which I think is a great idea. Is there anybody else you'd like to see the Ghostbusters meet up with?
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
I just feel like watching Bill Murray and Freddy Krueger like just argue with each other would be very fun.
Yeah.
Just
It's
argue.
never good. Yeah, well, they're just
You know those
very
classic
funny.
Nightmare on Elm Street movies? Freddy Krueger's always arguing with people. We're gonna have a discussion about that later.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Pennywise.
Pennywise?
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a way that he could bring back the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man since he's like.
Oh, he manifests his
Yeah,
race
yeah.
From
fear.
Ray Spears, the Stay Puft Marshmallow
And for
Man.
Craig to do his Pennywise impression.
That's not happening. Although I think we just confirmed Ghostbusters takes place in the It universe. Sure. Okay.
Richie Tozier?
Confirmation. Well, okay, I'll stop talking. Hey, great question. Coffee mug?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. Not that the other ones weren't great. I forgot we
Just forgot we had them.
Yes. Anybody else? Oh, we'll go to her first, then we'll get back to you.
Okay, so what if they do make a Gremlins 3? What if they make the Gremlins look totally different?
No, I don't want that at all. Yeah.
So
well,
well,
like Pokemon Go, where it's like, cause I was thinking the same thing with like electricity gremlin, like internet gremlin. Then you go inside that whole world, and it's like Wreck-It Ralph. I kind of thought about that. I thought it was a good idea at first.
If they do a part 3, will they all be CGI? Probably.
There'd probably be a lot. But I feel like we're in that portion of time where finally like directors and studios are like, hey, let's try to do some more, as much practical effects as possible.
Yeah.
And then we'll give it to the VFX people, and they'll
just paint over
everything. Remember the last Ghostbuster movie? They're like, guys, they're using a Slimer puppet. And then we saw, I was like, that's not a puppet. That's a big.
They had some Gremlins in Ready Player One.
Oh,
Oh,
they
yeah,
did,
yeah.
Yep.
And they looked.
Hey, Ready Player One's good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I didn't read the book. Because anybody who listens
Jake had a book for all of it.
Hey, anybody who listens to our podcast knows that reading is not.
Love the book.
Listen to it.
Craig doesn't.
Yeah.
I do.
Craig doesn't know how to read.
Here, I do.
First 20 pages.
I listen to David Spade and Michelle Obama's audiobooks.
Listen to.
Are you becoming?
Yeah.
I am. David Spade, though. Becoming David Spade. I read. Okay, we've got a few more minutes. Anybody else?
What would you like if they make the Ghostbusters cartoon, like a new one?
New animated series.
New animated series.
Yes.
Would you want the original like Ghostbusters, or would you want like a whole
Like a new team? That's a great question. So the question was, if there's a new animated series, would we want a new team? There almost was. There was a series called Ecto Force that was going to be like a futuristic Ghostbusters that was announced in 2016, and then after Answer the Call, they put it on the back burner to kind of.
Extreme Ghostbusters?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then there was Extreme Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be cool to incorporate the original team, but I'm always open to new incarnations, right? Especially in an animated series, there's like a lot you could do with it.
In an animated series, you have way more leeway. I think like it's they could do it. You could do whatever you want, and it's like it just doesn't matter as much, as far as like the canon.
No boundaries.
Yeah,
could
you do whatever you want.
Ghostbusters High School.
Stop it.
As someone who loves coffee, is the coffee going to taste extra awesome when it's drank out of the Yes Have Some coffee cup?
She just wants
That was good. That was good.
We applaud you.
Find out.
Go for
Yay!
I like this. I kind of wish. I wish we could invite everybody over to our house every week and just they could ask us questions. That way we don't have to come up with topics.
I had one. Would you, for the new movie, would you like to see an Ecto 1, an Ecto 2, something in between, or all new?
I'm trying to figure out what to say without spoiling
into a
it.
new version by the end of the movie.
Yeah, well, so. Let's talk about that. That's a good question. Ecto 1, I think we're gonna probably get the original in there.
Yeah.
In some form. I always like to see, like by the end of the movie, do they update it? Is there any new features? Is there any new equipment? Right.
Yeah.
Traps and stuff.
Tracks.
Tracks? Tracks. Oh, Ghostbusters Hummer? Okay, I'll take it.
We'll take it.
I want the toy.
Yes.
So there was a good portion of the Ghostbusters community for years that was just entirely against a new Ghostbusters movie for fear of Hollywood ruining it. And even though it looks like the new one's coming out and it's going to be good, are there any franchises that haven't been touched that you wouldn't want a sequel, but if they did it right, you would be open to a sequel?
Back to the Future.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest one.
Yeah,
to do.
it is.
Yeah.
Goonies.
Yeah.
Is that a franchise? It's so hard. What's a franchise?
Manimal.
Ooh, oh yeah, Manimal. Manimal's big on this track.
Yeah.
This is the Manimal track.
Feel the presence. I'm getting warmed up from Manimal.
Ooh, Monster Squad.
Yeah.
They need a Monster Squad with all the slasher people.
I'd be into that. Yeah.
Right. That'd be
Yeah,
new Monster
talk about
Squad.
that.
You get Michael Myers, Chucky. You get Freddy arguing with everybody.
I want to see Freddy and Chucky arguing.
We actually on our podcast pitched a Leprechaun Child's Play crossover.
Buddy
We're trying to get people to listen to the show.
Yeah, please listen, please. Hey, by the way, self-promotion. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. Yes, have some podcasts. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So Ghostbusters franchises have been really big in the fandom like forever.
Mhm.
Is that something that you feel like we would want to see in universe?
Oh, yeah.
So-
reflected in the film.
There was the original line in the film of the franchise rights alone will make us, rich beyond our wildest dreams. I think what we're going to learn in this movie is that there probably was at some point a lot of other teams of Ghostbusters, or I think the thing that's going to suck about this movie is that we're going to probably be given a little bit of a backstory and a history of what's been happening for 30 years, but we're not going to see it necessarily, and that's going to be hard for me because I want to see it, but that's fine. I think it's logical to think any successful company, listen, there's a lot of subways, right?
Mm-hmm.
It started with one. Probably. I don't know.
To me, that's
I'm probably wrong. They're like, no, it launched with 500 locations.
to me, that sounds like something that'd be great for the animated series.
Yeah.
Like it would.
There's a lot of
Easier.
stuff.
Did this?
We have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Rapid fire. Yes? Did you have one? I thought his hand was raised. Sorry. Cool. I like your costume. Yes?
Do you think they'll include the video game at
Ooh. Will
rookie you were mentioning?
will the video game can so forever? This is fun. Forever, people considered the video game the real third movie, and then a couple years ago there was a Q&A when somebody asked Ivan Reitman if it was a real third movie, and he was like, "No, it's not." And I could see Easter eggs. I don't think they're going to go out of their way to like address the events of the movie, but I could see them like throwing.
I
in
could see them
Little fan
using,
service,
maybe
yeah.
some of the equipment
Yeah.
or something. Just taking the things that they like, maybe, and using it. But I don't think the plot is going to be.
Yes.
So, what in your opinion, the better scene, the Gremlins bar scene or the Gremlins 2 lab scene while Gremlins are created?
Oh, the lab scene.
Wow.
I like lab scene.
You just right away went to the lab scene.
Yeah.
Phoebe Cates isn't in either of those scenes. where is Phoebe Cates?
Not here.
I just.
Yeah.
I like her.
Dude, I think she'd come on.
In the pool. She basically retired to raise her children.
Oh, okay.
That's what Rick Moranis did.
Yeah.
She's married to
Kevin Klein.
Kevin
Oh,
Kline.
Okay, cool.
Way to go.
I like when I put out like rhetorical questions like, actually, Kevin Kline's involved. Thank you.
Would you want anything from the cartoon translated into the new movie? Like,
I want,
like
I want Egon to be blonde.
like if at some point was they successful, they go back to the old firehouse. Do you just want the giant entertainment unit downstairs?
yeah, I don't know. I don't, see, I'm weird about Real Ghostbusters because I loved it, but I'm not, I watch it, what do I have? I've got a lot of those letters, ADD and all that stuff. It's hard for me to like even. Yes, I think like if they brought in like the ectocopter or something cool like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some of the ghosts.
Yeah, some of the ghosts for sure. Cool. Oh, and play them ragtime booze. That's my favorite episode of Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe like a jazz band.
Just put a jazz band like
a spectral
they
jazz.
hire,
like to see
like
a
they just
jazz
hire a jazz band to work in the firehouse.
That's what I want.
That's what we want. In
All right, we've got time for one more.
May I take your picture?
Yes,
Sure.
we can do.
We're married, you know.
Yeah, we're also married. We have time for one more, I think. Yes.
Do you want to see a relaunch of High C Ecto Cooler?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Yes.
I want Slimer on the package.
Yes.
Follow up, what's your favorite liquor to mix with it?
You don't drink.
I don't drink.
You don't drink.
Grenadine.
Crystal Head vodka.
Nice.
Ecto Cooler was relaunched in 2016. Slimer was not on the box because you can't put cartoon characters on
entice.
children's drinks anymore.
Yeah, but they know that like us 30-year-olds are the ones buying most of it.
Yeah, this is for me.
It's not for the kids.
I was at Publix and I was
want
like,
it.
listen, man, Slimer's not even on the box.
Stay Puft was on the Twinkies.
The guy was like, why are you talking to me?
Right? Wasn't Stay Puft on the Twinkies?
Stay Puft was on the Twinkies. But kids don't even eat Twinkies. Do they? Kids. Any kids in here? Do you like Twinkies? See?
You know what they are.
Okay.
We should have brought Twinkies.
Coffee mug. There you go.
Coffee
No
mug.
Twinkies, but thank you, everybody. We're going to have some
Thanks,
podcasts.
guys.
We really appreciate it. Cool. And like we said earlier, American Heart
Twister.
I know we did not. American Heart Association, please donate. This is a very good cause. And if you enjoyed this panel, please leave a review on the app. We would love to be able to come back. And last but not least, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yes. Sorry. In this room
In
tonight.
this room, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, PKE Surge Prom. It's our annual gathering of Ghostbusters, 80s themed cosplay, or anything.
80 tire / whatever you want.
Come dance. We'll have some Lizzo.
Yeah, I promise. I snuck in 2 Lizzo tracks on the side. Yeah.
Bye.